Hi, this is G, and this is my third reflective task, and it is my final reflective task. In this task, where I'm gonna talk about what I learned in the previous few weeks. It's all about communication of assessment results. There are two things I learned. First, I've never thought about communication of assessment outcomes because you know I'm from a background of China, and we only have one thing to communicate, which is score. You score 20, you score 40, you score 60, or you score 100. That is the only way we communicate assessment. Meanwhile, we don't have formative assessment in China, so you can check the progress. Normally, teachers and parents communicate once or twice or a few times one semester, and their communicate is to cover more likely to cover uh, students' behaviors in the school. For example, my kid does not focus on the classroom. He talks to his peers every day, in the classroom during the class. Teachers are more likely to communicate those information to students, and normally they say something different, like, oh, your kid is so smart, but that he's not struggling enough to get a good score, or he's so smart but look at his score is not good. Those communicate parts, but those chapters, remind me to, or cause me to think about how to communicate those results of assessment outcomes. For example, you can use multiple ways to communicate that. You can use visualization, figures or charters to communicate the assessment outcomes. Also, you can give details to communicate the outcomes, which is good. And you should communicate in positive ways. You don't want to cause any problems between you and the teachers and the students. It's very common in China. Sometimes we don't like teachers. I mean, most times we don't like teachers because we thought about teachers only tell parents negative things. Everything we have done well in the classroom, in school, our parents won't know that. And the second thing I learned was that portfolios have 5 different kinds. Before I learned that, I thought portfolio only have 2 kinds. One is to show the progress. The other is to demonstrate, I have completed the task. It's more like a final projects of the a final version of the final projects. Uh, in this book, in the textbook, it talks about 5 different kinds of portfolios: growth, project, achievement, competence, and celebration. Uh, I still think that growth is a progress. Then project, achievement, competence, and celebrations are just uh, specify records, which means it's just a record, but specific the author specify the record, the portfolio for record recording purposes into a few details, like project, to document something, or achievement, uh, over a collection of learning targets, something like that. And uh, after learning those chapters, I found that I learned a few things. The first part is an assessment outcome using language that teachers, parents, and students are able to understand. This is common in America, at least common in California. Because when I was teaching in California, I've noticed that teachers, when they talk to parents, they only talk to parents what they want to tell parents. They don't care about the audience, whether parents understand those standards. Your student probably have problem with the standards. Your students are doing good in those standards, but what does that mean? What does that mean to parents? Or what does that mean to students? You're good at those students, those standards, yes, you are. But what does that mean to you? Which probably means your learning strategies probably are good for those standards, but you probably need to shape your learning strategies because the same strategy probably cannot be used for the other standards unless you change those strategies or adopt a new strategies for the standards. So it's like you need to provide the information that students and parents they want to know. Like they want to know grade. Yes, provide the information about the grade. They want to know the ranking. Yes, provide the information about the ranking, but probably do not use rank number one, number two, number three, but using 50%, 70%. They want to know details. Yes, provide details. Also provide information that students' parents can understand. What does this grade mean? Sometimes you get a B, but B doesn't mean it's not good. B means you're doing pretty good, but you still have something to improve. You can get an A if you get everything improved. And also provide information that is simple to record or remember. If you, as a teacher, talk to your parents, talk to your students a lot, maybe 10 minutes, 20 minutes about one thing, it's hard for them to record. It's hard for them to remember. It's hard for them to recall after that. Maybe 5 minutes later, 10 minutes later, or 2 days later, they're gonna forget what you told them. So you waste your time. They waste their time, and probably students do not get what they want. Also, so please provide the information that is simple to remember. Maybe some key points, bullet points, or you print a report to them and discuss the bullet points with simple words, so they can understand and easy to record. Or you can use something like jokes or something easy to remember to deliver your information. Also, visualize the information, which means if you can give them charts, if you can give them figures, please do that. Because if you visualize that their your students, assessment outcomes, they collect those visualization, they can just fold few assessment outcomes together and see students improvement or see students situation, current level of learning. Communication of assessment in positive ways, providing directions for students and parents to follow. It's our responsibilities as a teacher to provide enough information in positive ways. Also, the one purpose of assessment is not to assess students, not only to assess students, is to let students know their learning. Let students know what are they gonna do next. Let students set up goals for their learning next based on the assessment outcomes. So please communicate with parents, with students in positive ways, because you want to motivate them, you want to encourage them, you don't want create any conflicts between parents and students. For example, in China, teachers always create conflicts. They're gonna say something in negative ways regarding students. Then when parents know that, parents would punish kids. So students would know, okay, that is what our teachers tell our parents. Then the relationship between parents and students and teachers are not as good as we expect. So please provide uh, feedback or provide assessment outcomes in positive ways. I usually do 2 stars and a wish, based on students' assessment outcomes. For example, you are doing this one good because you're doing this part, this part, this part, and that part. You're doing that one good, because you're doing that one, that part, and that part. You still need to improve this one, because with this one you can figure out what problem, figure out another problem, something like that. And communicate assessment outcomes with directions that parents and the student can improve future learning. It's like a wish. You can use this strategy. Although you probably don't master this part, but you can use those strategies to master those parts. It's not like a negative way. It is something like you need to improve. You need to make everything better, make everything perfect. So also provide task cards to keep students and parents stay on task. Come back to the previous slide that provide the information that the parents and the student can record and remember. Task cards is a good part. Why? Because when you, let's say, students need to practice a little bit more, maybe 3 more math questions per day on this part, on this standard. So when students and their parents have those task cards, they know what they're gonna do, and they know what they are gonna do. Then they have the goals, so they can follow those targets. They can follow those tasks. Those are for a communication part. And also communication of the assessment outcomes that are accurate, focusing on details rather than information in general. You can say your kids are doing good. Yes, they are doing good. Some parents will say, okay, they are doing good, I'm fine with that. Yes, but using the information that parents and the student can understand. Sometimes I know they just want an outcome, a result, but as a teacher, we can not only provide them outcome and a result, we want to provide them details. For example, why they are doing good, the learning strategies they are doing good, or they pay more attention during the classroom, or they practiced thousands of questions, answer 7,000 of questions for this standard, for to practice this standard or practice the standardized test. It doesn't matter, but please provide accurate and details than information in general. For example, you give them a report. A report may say, okay, your case is doing received this score, and he received this score based on my understanding is because of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For example, it's because of during this testing period, he spends a lot of time on writing tasks. So his writing skills, especially vocabulary, the use of words, increase rapidly. And now his level is more like, let's say, fifth grade level. Before this year, last year, his level was like third grade level. So it's a huge improvement. Also provides the meaning of the report individually. not comparing to others. So this is important because I'm from the background of China. I'm from China, and they rank us. They compare. Okay, you get 98, and someone gets 99. So you're worse than that one, than the other one. Just a 1 point. It doesn't mean that much. So you provide the meaning of the report individually. You give the report to them individually. You don't talk to them. Oh, who's doing good? Who's doing well in the class? Who's doing not well in the class? Something like that. And also provide detailed standard that student might not be mastery. So it's like you need something like let's say you have 6 questions, and you have 3 standards: standard A, standard B, and standard C. Your question 1 to 3 are to assess standard 1, standard A, standard B, and standard C. And your question 4 is to assess standard A and B. Question 5, A and C. Question 6, B and C. So with those details, you can give parents detailed information about, based on the assessment result, we can see that the student probably do not master those standards. I give you an example. Pilot doing hard landing is like landing so hard probably will break the landing gear. This example, I just thought about that because it's related to my life. I'm a pilot. And okay, so this is like the standard they're gonna do is a takeoff and the landing skills. It's more like students are able to take off. Student pilots are able to take off and landing in appropriate ways. But how to perform good landing skills? A couple of things: flare, stall, and slow flight. Flare means you just pitch up to burn your energy in the landing after you decide to land on the runway, above the runway. Stall, which means every landing is a stall based landing, and slow flight is like how you maneuver a slow speed airplane. So with those 3 big parts, I can analyze your landing and tell you, okay, you didn't do this well because other related standards. You do not master other related standards. So you will know, okay, I don't do this well, not because I'm not good at this standard. It's because I probably need to learn to synthesize other standards, or other standards provide basic information, basic knowledge, or prior knowledge for me to master this standard. This is very important to students to find goals. Sometimes they can't do this because not because they can't do this, just because they don't have enough prior knowledge, or they don't master the prior knowledge. For example, you cannot teach kids multiplication if kids are not good at addition. You cannot teach them 9 times 9 equals 81 once they don't know how to add 9 nines. So it's completely different. But you need, as a teacher, once you communicate those information to teach to parents and their students, you need to tell them it is not because you are not struggling enough. It is because the previous standards, probably we need to look back to previous standards and let you master the previous standards first. And then you will say, oh yeah, I can do this one. I can always find a reason that why I can't do this one. It's more like I can set up goals and I can figure out everything. That's basically what is my reflections for this these chapters. And after that, I feel like technology must be involved in communicate assessment results. It is not only to be involved in assessment procedure process. It is also important for communication. For example, there is an app called Class Dojo. Class Dojo, if parents and students sign up in the same class and they are gonna see their reports, they're gonna say, okay, here is the average of the class, here is what average of mine, and the parents and the student will both say that. So, and once you communicate with parents and their students, you don't need to spend a lot of time to explain the result. You just focus on, okay, why, rather than or why and how, rather than what. Also, yeah, that's also explained to provide access to assessment result at any time and anywhere, because parents can track their kids' progress at any time and anywhere if they have smartphones, tablets. Also, to record longitudinal data. It's like after 5 years or 2 years or 3 years, uh, we can easily see a progress line of the children's assessment results. Probably children, they do a lot of better uh, during the 1 year during the year, and the time that they didn't do well just because probably they're sick or they didn't come to the class. So with those information, with technology, we can and easily and to provide parents and students enough data uh, in the report, and give them a glance at their what they are gonna do, and help them to set up goals. Then we as teachers just use personal communication strategies. Remember, per, personal communication standards, personal communication strategies, because we won't talk to them individually. We won't explain everything we can do for them. We want to help them to set up goals. We want to explain the tasks they need to do to improve children's or students' learning performance.